Roger, here is your son's video. Lucas, he did a nice job. I like that he is compact with his delivery. He doesn't have too much extra movement going on. But what I want to show you is, actually, let me just show you what I mean by that. When he's compact, he means that he's efficient. He doesn't have any extra movements or anything that's going to really disrupt his timing or his flow, the smoothness of his delivery, the elegance of it. It looks pretty good. But what I will show you is what I teach all the pitchers, um, even at a high level or at a more competitive level, I should say. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you all the major components that we see with high velocity category pitchers and where he stands up with that. He's not going to move like a high velocity pitcher, but he can with the same type of power, but he certainly can move it with the same type of motor skill. So anyhow, let's start at the top. What we look for here is some early momentum. We need to see the body moving out and the entire body moving, but take a look at how he kind of sits there and posts up on that leg for a real long time. Look at where his arms are. He's spread out and his head hasn't moved at all off that rubber, and he's got this tilt going on here going backwards. Let me just get that back up. So he's got a tilt here, and that doesn't really help with momentum and uh, forces that he's going to receive later on. The body just won't really be in the position that it needs to be in to really rotate uh, with the speed that you want it to. So the head and the body you got to get the hips moving. The hips have to start coming off. He's got to activate the back legs sooner so that he can get off the mound, okay? So early momentum isn't the be-all that ends all in pitching, but it certainly does help a lot when you're trying to get down the mound, and that's what we see with all the high-velocity pitchers. They develop a base speed, and then they can accelerate from that speed into front foot plant. So watch how his front leg just kind of reaches out, and once that knee breaks the hip, we need to see a considerable amount of distance gained. That was kind of a crooked line there. Let me try that again. Somewhat considerable, but not too much, right? And if I take a line here and draw it from his ankle to his knee, that ankle and knee are lined up with his front shoulder. So, the angle of the force that he's going to be able to use here is going to be an angle that where the force would want to go up, not out. So what we see is that the angle starts to become it takes the momentum of the hip, so it'll line up with the hip rather than way up here. So once that knee up here breaks the front hip, that back leg needs to really be in a power angle because he's going to start pushing this way. So he's going to push in a direction that's horizontal. So those forces need to go horizontally. So that will all happen a lot better if he gets early momentum and leads with the hip, not with the leg. So he's a foot reacher, which means that the foot is just going to reach out. It's going to provide the front leg's going to provide the momentum, and now he really stretches out. He gets a little bit of a push from the back leg there, but very, very little. And what I know that he gets very little leg power is the indication of the back foot. Look at how he's still connected to the ground there, and he's still connected to the rubber. When you drive off with the back leg correctly, this is where the foot should be when you first touch down up here. Okay, so just lack of momentum, lack of back leg drive. It's typical with young kids, but at least we can target this and now start to implement strategies so he can progress quicker. That's kind of what the goal is here. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's probably not even going to be a monthly thing. It's a progression of events here. Okay, so we get more back leg drive. That's going to convert well when you land the front foot because then that'll power the ground forces down here up through the kinetic chain, the ankle, the knee, the hip, and that will thrust the chest forward. But what happens is when you don't get a good back leg drive, the next key component here is hip and shoulder separation. Does his hips come open? No, his hips are closed when he lands his front foot. When he learns how to power from the back leg, this hip will open. It will separate from the shoulder. It'll create a lot of torque in here, counter rotation. When you get that counter rotation, the reaction to that is a violent chest thrust forward this way, and the arm lays back, and then the arm will swing forward with a high velocity, but he's not getting any of that hip and shoulder separation. So let's take a look. Watch his back hip and watch his shoulder. They will move together at the same exact time, where we want to see the shoulder moving this way. And that will come, that will come with the proper strength and conditioning and just awareness as well. All right. Now when he lands the front foot, so here's really what we're looking for. We want to see an acceleration of speed here with good back leg drive. That's going to pop the hip open and separate from the shoulder more. And it's going to elongate the stride. It's going to get his foot off the ground. And then it's going to provide him the opportunity to land the front leg with more speed and power coming off of the ground here, which will convert nicely up his leg and will thrust the chest forward. But let's see what happens when he lands his front leg. So when he lands his front leg, let me just get the angle up out here. Look at how straight he is. Okay, so 81-degree angle. This is at hyperexternal rotation when the arm lays back. Not hyper, full external rotation when the arm lays back. And at this position, we want to see him down here in the 60s, maybe the upper 50s at his age. And then when he is at ball release, now he's at 60 degrees. And at ball release, let's get these out of there. At ball release, we want to be at, oh, come on. We want to be somewhere down in the mid 40s. And his back is about 57. So, with more leg power, of course, all that get fixed. So typically when a pitcher is at ball release, they are throwing over their front knee. Their trunk is already over their front knee, and his trunk is still behind that line where his front knee is. So again, lack of leg power, lack of linear power, you're going to get a lack of trunk power and trunk rotation. But he does a nice job, getting the arm up into a good position. Here's real nice here. I like how he just turns the glove and nothing extra, nothing herky or jerky, nice and smooth. He's going to be real good. He's going to be real good. And he's got a nice, big, strong body, which is going to produce a lot of power. He's going to need a lot of force to move that body, and force times speed. Be careful, because that's going to really improve ball speed. Okay. Anything else here that I should mention? Yes, let me just make a point here real quick. This is something that we can work on and fix pretty quickly. Look at where his front foot is landing. This is typical of young pitchers that kind of open up too soon. They swing that leg open. This is typical with leg reachers. They reach with the leg, and they reach out, but they don't really reach straight. So they come across the midline. Look at how far off. He's probably a good foot off that line, and that just creates a early rotation effect here. The front hip opens too soon, and then the trunk opens too soon. Everything just happens too soon, and it causes him to actually land on the inside part of the foot when you land across the line, the midline. When you land that far across the midline, you land on the inside part of your foot, and what that does is it creates a bad stabilized leg, because the knee is now on the inside of the ankle. So watch how his knee has to now turn up to straighten out. See how his knee is rotating this way? We want to see that knee like this when he lands, and that will happen when his foot is landing on this line and his foot is straight at the target. And then we want to see this leg actually extend backwards. Okay, but nice job. Good job, Lucas. I will see you next week.